As the soft sunlight filtered through the chapel's stained glass windows, Monica's heart raced excitedly. She stood in her pristine white gown, ready to exchange vows with the man she thought she knew so well. But then, in a voice that quivered with nerves, her fiancé uttered words that froze time itself. His confession was so unexpected, so utterly astonishing, that the world seemed to blur around her. Gasps rippled through the congregation as Monica fainted. Had she heard correctly? Did her fiancé really say what she thought he said? Monica's parents in the front row rushed towards the podium to see how their daughter was doing, while Carl stood there motionless with a guilty expression. But what had Carl whispered to Monica? Why did she pass out upon hearing it? And would the relationship between the pair be okay after all this? But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. From the first moment Monica met Carl, their relationship had felt like a dream. It had seemed too good to be true. After Monica had so many terrible relationships, Carl had felt like a breath of fresh air. She was sure she finally found the one, but maybe she had been too blinded by love. The pair were introduced to each other through a mutual friend. If you could even call him a friend. They had hardly kept in contact over the years, but she was pleasantly surprised when she suddenly received a party invite. At this party, Monica hit it off with one of the few other people there, Carl. He seemed genuinely interested in who she was and was one of the few people who would include her in the conversation, which she greatly appreciated. They eventually went to talk privately. Things went so well that the two decided that they didn't want the night to end and went home with each other. Not long after, they decided that a relationship was the best next course of action. Everything seemed to go quick from then on, but neither of them seemed to complain about it. They had soon moved in together, sharing ownership of their 2 cats, and were already discussing children. But there was also something else. It had happened only 2 months ago when they celebrated their first anniversary. Carl had gotten on one knee and asked Monica if she wanted to marry him. This had felt relatively quick for Monica, but it seemed in tune with their relationship. She couldn't see her life without Carl, so she said yes. However, she maybe should have listened to that gut feeling. As soon as she said yes, the wedding seemed fast approaching. Carl wanted to spare no expense. But she only had 2 months. She had always thought planning would take longer, but it had been Carl's only condition. Why? Monica had no idea, but she trusted him that it was for a good reason that he would share in time. The time seemed too close for Monica to put together all the arrangements she had planned for her dream wedding, and she quickly looked for help with a wedding planner. The specific date picked by Carl was 4 months away from their first anniversary, but she still couldn't understand why. As much as she was trying to focus on getting everything ready for the wedding, she had many questions about why the wedding had to be done that soon. She wasn't against a prolonged engagement so that the wedding planning wouldn't be as stressful. At some point, the uncertainties finally got the better of her, and she decided to open up to Carl about it. She tried to talk to him, but though he listened, he grabbed her hands, gave a reassuring smile, and told her she needed to trust him. She found that he wouldn't tell her anything, and that she had just let it lie. Monica was sure that once they were married, all the stress from the wedding would be a thing of the past. Unknowing to her, that would not be the case. Monica was trying to plan the wedding as meticulously as possible, and Carl seemed as if he didn't want to give any input. It almost seemed as if she was planning it alone with the help of her wedding planner. She noticed the slight change in the thoughtful Carl she had fallen in love with as the wedding day approached. As the wedding date neared, Carl became standoffish. Carl's behavior started to make Monica nervous. She was left with so many questions that she again began to doubt if marriage was not too soon. Maybe it was a mistake to agree to marry Carl. He concluded that Monica only needed to trust him. At the mention of the word trust in Carl's mouth, Monica felt irritated. It began to lose its meaning, but she decided to let it go and search for reassurance elsewhere. She called her best friend, Jessica, who lived out of state. Monica rarely shared personal problems, but she needed someone to talk to. Jessica was her maid of honor, after all. To Monica's surprise, Jessica sided with Carl. She suggested that perhaps he was planning a surprise for the wedding. The idea gave Monica a small sense of comfort, though it did not completely silence her doubts. Eventually, Monica decided she needed to calm down. Wedding planning had been stressful, and perhaps she had allowed anxiety to take control of her thoughts. Soon after, Monica and her closest friends went wedding dress shopping. The bridal boutique buzzed with excitement as racks of gowns surrounded them. For a moment, Monica felt genuinely happy as she tried on different dresses and imagined herself walking down the aisle. During the fitting, she overheard another bride talking about a surprise her fiancé had planned for their wedding. The conversation sparked hope inside Monica. Maybe Carl really was preparing something special. With each passing day, Monica's doubts about Carl grew more persistent. She couldn't ignore the nagging feeling that something significant was amiss. The eve of her wedding, which should have been filled with excitement, was now clouded by uncertainty. Stephanie's story lingered in Monica's thoughts, making it harder for her to dismiss the uneasy feeling growing inside her. That night, sleep refused to come easily. Monica lay awake, turning over every detail of Carl's strange behavior. The anticipation of her wedding had become mixed with anxiety, leaving her wondering whether she was about to make a terrible mistake. The hours passed slowly until morning finally arrived. The day Monica had long dreamed of had finally arrived, and as the sun's first rays pierced through the curtains, she awoke with a heart filled with excitement. Her morning quickly filled with laughter as she prepared alongside her bridesmaids. When she finally arrived at the wedding venue, she was stunned by the transformation. The once simple space had been turned into the elegant setting she had imagined for months. Decorations covered every corner, and fresh flowers filled the air with their scent. As the ceremony drew closer, her father arrived. His eyes reflected pride and emotion as he embraced his daughter. Together, they began walking toward the altar. Monica's heart raced with a mix of excitement and nervous anticipation. As she approached the front, her eyes met Carl's. The feeling that something was wrong returned. Her attention shifted briefly toward Carl's parents. Though they were smiling, their expressions seemed strangely sad. The mixture of joy and sorrow on their faces only deepened Monica's confusion. The officiant prepared to begin the ceremony, and a heavy silence fell over the room. The atmosphere was filled with anticipation, but Monica felt a growing tension in the air. Her heart pounded as she stepped forward, sensing that something unexpected was about to happen. Then she heard Carl whisper something under his breath. Monica strained to catch the whispered phrase that escaped Carl's trembling lips as she drew nearer to the front. Her world began to spin as the words reached her ears, and disbelief washed over her. "I can't believe he hadn't told her," she heard, and the pieces of the puzzle started to click into place. Monica's world slowly came back into focus as she regained consciousness. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she struggled to understand what had just happened. Her wedding day, once filled with anticipation and joy, had suddenly taken a devastating turn. Her father quickly stepped forward, overwhelmed with concern. Seeing his daughter collapse had frightened him, and he demanded to know what Carl had said that could cause such distress. The entire room fell silent as guests and family members turned their attention toward Carl, waiting for an explanation. Carl stood there, visibly shaken. After a long moment, he finally gathered the strength to speak. With regret in his eyes, he began revealing the truth he had kept hidden. As the words left his mouth, a stunned silence spread through the room. Carl confessed that he was terminally ill. The news struck everyone like a sudden storm, leaving the guests struggling to process what they had just heard. Monica felt the weight of his confession settle over her. Carl had not been hiding betrayal or deceit. He had been hiding something far more painful. Despite the devastating revelation, Carl explained that everything he had done was meant to protect Monica. He had spent weeks making arrangements to ensure she would be cared for after he was gone. The thought of leaving her alone had been the hardest part of his illness. Tears filled the room as the truth unfolded. Monica stood silently for a moment, her mind racing. The future she had imagined suddenly looked uncertain. Through her tears, Monica made a decision that surprised everyone present. Despite the heartbreaking truth, she chose to continue the ceremony. Her choice was not made lightly. It was born from love, courage, and the realization that the time they had together was precious. The ceremony resumed, though it was forever changed by Carl's confession. Guests watched with a mixture of sadness and admiration as Monica and Carl stood before them once again. When they exchanged their vows, the words carried deeper meaning than anyone had expected. Their promises were no longer about a distant future, but about cherishing every moment they had together. The atmosphere was filled with emotion as they vowed to stand by each other despite the uncertain road ahead. Their love, tested in the most painful way, seemed stronger than ever. In the years that followed, their life together was filled with love and cherished memories. They learned to treasure the simple joys of everyday life, never taking a single moment for granted. Against the expectations of doctors, Carl lived far longer than anyone had predicted. Together, he and Monica built a life filled with laughter, shared experiences, and unwavering devotion. Their bond grew stronger through every challenge they faced. Illness brought difficulties, but it also deepened the connection they shared. Years later, after Carl eventually passed away, Monica carried his memory with her. Though the loss was painful, the years they had shared remained a source of comfort and gratitude. Their story lived on as a reminder that love could endure even the most difficult circumstances. Monica and Carl's journey showed that love was not defined by how long it lasted, but by the depth of the connection shared along the way. And for those who had witnessed their story, it remained a powerful reminder that even in the face of uncertainty, love could still triumph.